Niners are out of it. We're at home watching, and there haven't been that many good games yet. There's been a lot of humiliating blowouts, and the teams losing either have very expensive quarterbacks or guys who were supposed to make a lot of money. And wow, they've cost themselves hundreds of millions of dollars. At least Sam Darnold did. What do you think of these quarterbacks' performances compared to what Brock Purdy has done?
I'm going to compare him to what I think Brock Purdy could have done if he were, in the playoffs. And we know he's not, and we know he had a mediocre season. Let's go one by one. Last night, Sam Darnold. Iggy, he was atrocious. He took too long. He held the ball too long. I think he got sacked 9 times. I think, however high his stock had risen during the regular season, it's in the toilet now. On my theoretical team, who do I want as a starting quarterback? Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold? I want Brock Purdy. It's a better quarterback. He makes quicker decisions. He gets rid of the ball quicker, and he can run. He can move, as opposed to that standing platform, Darnold. So that's one guy. Another, Baker Mayfield. I kind of like his work. He's a very aggressive quarterback. He really tries hard. He throws very well. I feel he's ultimately a loser. And in his game where they got eliminated, he fumbled the snap from center not once but twice. That should never happen. That shouldn't happen in the whole season. And he did it at the worst possible time, i.e., he lost the game for his team. Brock Purdy wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have. I would rather see Baker Mayfield throw an interception than do what he did, fumbling the snaps. So I think I'd rather have Brock Purdy than him. I think he's more of a winner than Baker Mayfield. And the guy up in Green Bay, Jordan Love, he's very gifted, Iggy. He's a very gifted quarterback, but he's not ready yet. He doesn't have the poise under fire that I think he should have. So on my theoretical team, I want Brock Purdy over him too. How do you feel about what I've said?
I understand why you say it. It's reasonable. It's arguable. My thing with Brock is I feel like people still don't know what to make of this year, why it was so bad. He was really good in the past, and he gets credit for that. And these quarterbacks that you just named haven't had seasons like the one Brock's had, so Brock's better. But the thing with Brock is that he got to play with the Offensive Player of the Year in his prime. And once that guy was gone or hurt, Brock couldn't be a complimentary piece anymore, which I believe he was in 2022 and 2023. He had to be the man, and he had these opportunities at the end of games to like win the game, and he lost them. So, he probably wouldn't have choked the way those 3 quarterbacks choked, but he also didn't make the playoffs, and he's a big reason that his team didn't make the playoffs. So I don't know what to make of that.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying it's like the verdict is out on him. Maybe the verdict is in on Baker Mayfield and Darnold, not Love. I don't think the verdict is in on Love yet. But you're saying there are still question marks about Purdy. Is he a really good quarterback who had an off season, or did he decline to the mean? Is he really this quarterback, especially without someone like McCaffrey? I understand. I would still take him over those 3 quarterbacks today. Would you?
I'd take him. Let's go one by one. I would take him over Darnold. I was talking myself into Darnold for the last few months, and then he really fell apart. It wasn't all his fault, but I think we could see he has no pocket presence. He has no feel or awareness for the pressure around him. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He holds the ball too long, and he kind of wanders into pressure. Again, it wasn't all his fault, but you could hear Troy Aikman get annoyed with him during the –
Absolutely, yeah.
So Brock Purdy doesn't have a better arm than Sam Darnold, but he has a much better feel for navigating pressure and moving around in the pocket and buying time, and he's more mobile. And that's a big deal. So I would take him over Darnold. I'm not even talking about how much money I'd pay him. Baker, man, I still think I'd take him. I still think I'd take Baker over him. Brock Purdy has fumbled passes in the rain because his hands aren't big enough. He has his own little moments. And then Jordan Love, I think they're similar in that both teams don't really want either guy throwing more than 30 passes because they'll throw picks. And one guy's just got a little bit bigger of an arm. So I think I might go Jordan Love too. But I do think that the Niners and the Packers both are built around not having their quarterbacks throw that much, which is strange.
Right, and the two head coaches are, joined at the hip
Yeah.
in
Here's
terms
that.
or at the brain.
Regular season, when he throws 29 or fewer passes, 18-3. When he
Who's
throws
that? Who's that?
Purdy,
Okay.
29 or fewer passes, he's 18-3. When he throws 30 or more, he's 5-10.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. So they got a formula. They run the ball. They play good defense. He wins. But yeah, I think that's probably the same formula with the quarterbacks you just named.
I would add one other thing, Iggy. The fact that we're comparing Brock Purdy to those three guys shows how much he's fallen.
Right. It's not like there's some YouTube channel for the Bengals out there somewhere where a father and son are talking about whether Joe Burrow's as good as Baker Mayfield.
Right.
They don't have to have that discussion.
There is an echelon of quarterbacks that they're just great. They're wonderful. Joe Burrow is one of them, and we could name more, obviously. And Brock Purdy is not in that discussion at all.
Well, the reason this is such a discussion right now is because the guys we just named, in particular, Love, is making $55 million a year. Darnold was on the way to getting a lot of that money. Justin Herbert's making $52 million a year. He threw 4 picks and lost. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, if those guys who make all that money can't do squat in the playoffs, then Purdy must be worth all that money too. So I don't know if you look at it that way, but that's sort of the context right now from Niner fans.
This thing about how much money Purdy's going to make is very theoretical, and we've sort of talked a lot about it. I'd be very interested to see what the Niners do, just because somebody like the guy in Tennessee, how much does he earn?
Tennessee,
Whatever that guy
Jacksonville,
with
Trevor Lawrence.
What does he earn?
Too much. 55, something like that. 55.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. So just because he set the standard or is near it, you see, I forget him so much. I don't even know what team. I can't stand his work, Iggy. I can't. So is Purdy capable of being as bad as Trevor Lawrence? Sure. So therefore, should he get $55 million? I don't know. That's up to the 49ers. It's their money. The only thing is if they wreck their team even more, which they've wrecked it a lot, if they wreck it even more by paying this kid, that would be very bad. My mom would say in Yiddish, it'd be a shande. It would be a shame. But if the Niners can afford it, fine. I don't care. It's not my money. But what I'm saying is Purdy, we're no longer comparing him to Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, where he's 1 or 2 levels down from those guys in our discussion. We're comparing him to Baker Mayfield. Good grief.
We're comparing him to losers. See, someone crashes and burns, and people are like, "Oh, he screwed up this year too," which implies that Brock screwed up this year.
Absolutely, he had what we gave him when we gave the grades. I gave him a C, and you gave him a D, and your D was plausible. I can't argue with it.
Yeah. So pointing out other people who had, it's very interesting too how a guy can like Darnold can have a 14-3 season and a bad week 18, a horrendous playoff game, and it's like, none of that stuff matters at all. He is exactly who we thought he was.
Absolutely. And I would be very curious to see what Minnesota does with him. I think they're going to get rid of him.
I think they're going to get rid of him too.